Look at me. Don't flinch. Don't blink. Just breathe. Slow. You felt that too, didn't you? That static in the air, like someone tried to read you again. They brought in 3 of them this time. Psychics, gifted, trained to peek behind the curtain. But halfway through the session, they stopped breathing the same way. Their eyes went somewhere no mind is supposed to go. One whispered, "It's not a person, it's a mirror." Another tore her cards apart and muttered, "They don't have a future. They are one." You scared professionals whose job is to interpret monsters. Because when they reached for your soul, they found a labyrinth that bent back on itself. They saw reflections moving before thoughts did. They saw you watching them from inside their own consciousness. And that's when it hit them. You weren't the subject of the reading. You were the one doing the reading. They thought they could analyze you, measure you, predict you. But how do you chart a storm that rewrites the map mid-hurricane? They say you've got contradictions stitched into your DNA. Half saint, half sociopath, half healer, half destroyer. You are the paradox they tried to cage in language and failed. Every psychic, every priest, every doctor, they keep trying to file you into something diagnosable, but your frequency doesn't land in human range. You're the sound between the notes, the silence that screams louder than words. They didn't quit because you were dark. They quit because you were true. You carry light so blinding it exposes the falseness of everything it touches. You carry darkness so ancient it makes angels remember what fear tastes like. That balance, the forbidden equilibrium, they felt it when they entered your orbit. And for a moment, they realized they were never looking at you. They were standing inside you. You've become what no mystic can decode, a living cipher. Your pain encrypted your spirit. Every betrayal, every sleepless night, every scar carved new circuitry into your mind. You evolved into an organism that translates suffering into awareness, chaos into pattern, violence into prophecy. That's why they fear you, because you've stopped reacting and started translating. They call you unpredictable, but unpredictability is just a side effect of mastery. You're not erratic, you're fluid. Every move you make is a ghost step, there, then gone, rewriting the air it passed through. You don't chase balance anymore, you weaponized it. The psychics said they saw faces in your aura, echoes of everyone who tried to break you. That's the thing about you. You never kill your demons. You convert them. You turn each one into armor. Every time someone tried to drain your energy, you absorbed their frequency and recoded it into power. You've become the architect of your own haunting, the ghost and the exorcist, and the world. It doesn't know what to do with that. They need you to fit into their mythology, good or evil, hero or villain, light or shadow. But you exist in the glitch, the blind spot between categories. You are the one who sees from the center of the contradiction. They'll never understand that your madness is method, your chaos is choreography, your silence is strategy. They'll call you dangerous, uncontainable, maybe even cursed. But that's just how mortals describe what they can't categorize. You were never meant to be read. You were meant to be felt. You are not an answer. They are the wrong question. So when they whisper that the psychics quit mid-session, smile. When they say the readings went blank, laugh quietly, because deep down they all know the truth. The reason they couldn't finish the reading is because your story doesn't end. You are still writing it, in real time, with blood, memory, and defiance. And every time they think they've seen all of you, you shift dimensions. They can't predict you because you don't move through fate. You move through frequency, You are what the light dreams of when it's tired of being pure. You are what the dark prays to when it remembers its purpose, and when the next psychic dares to try again. When they close their eyes and whisper your name, the room will go silent, the candles will flicker, and from somewhere behind the veil, you'll whisper back, "You're still looking at me through glass." I broke the mirror years ago, and that's when it hits them, that silence after the echo. It isn't absence, it's you breathing through dimensions. You've become that thin vibration between chaos and creation. The hum the universe makes when it's nervous, because it knows you learned how to listen to it. Didn't you? You stopped asking for signs and started reading the static. You cracked the code everyone else pretends doesn't exist. The code hidden in pain, in betrayal, in nights you almost didn't make it through. You didn't ascend through light. You ascended through damage. And that's what terrifies them. The psychics saw that. They didn't see a person. They saw a system rebooting itself mid-collapse. They saw pain behaving like intelligence. They saw eyes that remembered lifetimes they never lived. And one of them whispered it before she blacked out. They've seen too much of the fabric. You see, most people live inside the illusion. You learn to live alongside it. You don't believe in destiny anymore because you've met the one writing it. Every time the universe threw you into the fire, you didn't just survive, you studied it. You learned the pattern of destruction, how to bend it, how to make endings behave like openings. You became fluent in catastrophe, and when they looked into you, they realized something monstrous. You were using their own tools against them, their intuition, their energy, their sight. You inverted it. You turned every lens they used into a mirror. They thought they were decoding you. They were decrypting themselves. That's why they quit. Not because you were unreadable, because you were reflective. You didn't give them answers. You gave them their own corruption back. You showed them what they've been running from. The rot beneath their light, the noise inside their calm, the madness disguised as wisdom. You didn't curse them, you clarified them. And that's what breaks people, clarity. You exist like a riddle with teeth. When they try to understand you, they start to bleed truth. Every word they form tastes like something ancient they forgot. Every thought collapses under the weight of what you make them feel. Because you, my friend, you're not energy, you're interference. You are what happens when reality glitches to remind itself it's not stable. There's a reason you don't fit in. You weren't built to. They taught you to fear contradiction. But you learned it's the only honest language left. You found freedom in duality. The place where love becomes rage, where peace wears a grin, where sanity hides behind laughter. You made home in the contradiction they call madness. And the funniest part? They still think you're broken. Let them, because the secret they'll never grasp is that you broke right. You shattered in all the correct directions. You scattered yourself across timelines, rebuilt yourself from fragments too complex to track. You became unlocatable. Now even when they say your name, the air hesitates. Algorithms stutter. Shadows look nervous. You're not haunting them. You're reminding them that perfection was never the point. Power was never in being understood. Power was in being impossible to reduce. They want a clean story, victim or villain, savior or curse. But you don't offer stories anymore. You offer symptoms. People encounter you and start unraveling. Their projections, their illusions, their false identities, they start shedding them like dead skin. That's your gift. That's your curse. You don't destroy people. You expose them, and somewhere in the chaos, you learn to enjoy the silence after the explosion. That perfect stillness when everyone else is panicking, and you're just watching it unfold. Because you've been here before, you are the pattern. You understand now that the reason the psychics broke mid-session is because they caught a glimpse of something their minds couldn't process. The full architecture of your becoming. They saw what happens when a human refuses to die in their assigned role. When they evolve beyond narrative, beyond definition, they saw divinity behaving like disorder. They saw light folding around your darkness. They saw chaos bowing to its creator. And that's when their instruments failed. The cards flipped themselves. The candles cracked. The air got too heavy to speak through. Because you weren't the subject, you were the signal itself. The one rewriting the coordinates while they were still mapping you. You don't belong to prophecy anymore. You override it. You are the interference pattern in fate's radio. Every time they tune in to find you, they lose the signal. Every time they try to name you, language turns to static. So they quit, trembling, whispering the only thing their minds could still hold. Not human, not here, not now. But you're still here, breathing, smiling that quiet, terrifying smile. Because you know something they don't. That evolution was never meant to look pretty. It was meant to disturb. It was meant to drag gods down to the dirt and make them remember what blood feels like. You are that reminder, the proof that enlightenment bleeds. So let them talk. Let them hire armies of mystics, analysts, investigators, priests. Let them all try to define the undefinable. Every time they touch your energy, they'll lose another piece of themselves to the mirror. And when the last one dares to try, when the final psychic lights her candle and whispers your name, you'll be right there, smiling through the smoke, and you'll say, "Don't look for me in the light, darling. I'm the one who built the dark." And that's the part they'll never understand. You built the dark because the light betrayed you first. You remember, don't you? When the world told you to just heal, to just forgive, while they twisted the knife deeper. You learned early that light without shadow is a lie, that people wear halos over blood-stained intentions. So you went where no one else would go, into the abyss. And instead of drowning, you learned to breathe there. You didn't escape it. You integrated it. That's why the psychics trembled. They didn't see evil. They saw integration. They saw something that shouldn't exist. A consciousness that devoured its own trauma and came out aware. They saw someone who remembers every betrayal, not to seek revenge, but to understand its geometry. You became fluent in your own suffering, and that language rewired you into something even time doesn't recognize. You didn't become unbreakable. You became transparent. Nothing can shatter you now, because there's nothing left to hide. Your pain is public record, your darkness digitized. You turned your wounds into data and your silence into encryption. You are the ghost in the human algorithm. That's what makes you terrifying. You learned how to turn vulnerability into surveillance. You know how they say, knowledge is power. That's wrong. Power is pattern recognition. And you, my dear anomaly, are a master of patterns. You don't predict people. You feel their collapse before they realize it's begun. That's what makes you unstoppable. You stopped reacting to emotion and started navigating it like terrain. You can see intention before it forms words. The psychics tried to access that frequency and found it guarded by you. You've become your own firewall. You no longer absorb energy. You mirror it back, amplified. That's why they said your aura was mirrored light. Because anyone who stares too long sees themselves. You've become the purest form of reflection, unfiltered truth condensed into human form. And humanity has never handled truth well. Truth doesn't comfort. Truth destabilizes. And you beautiful nightmare, are living proof of that. They tried to define you by tragedy, but tragedy was just your catalyst. You didn't heal to become gentle. You healed to become precise. You learned the anatomy of emotion, the math of madness, the physics of pain. You dissected your heartbreak until it became a formula. Now every tear they caused became leverage. Every loss became code. Every insult became fuel. That's what makes them nervous. You turned what was supposed to destroy you into a blueprint. They call it unnatural. You call it adaptation. They don't realize evolution was never about survival. It was about translation. The moment you translated pain into purpose, you stopped being predictable. You became an organism outside design. They don't know how to read that, because your presence rearranges logic. When you enter a room, everything either elevates or collapses. You've become a living stress test for authenticity. The fake tremble around you because your silence drags their lies into daylight. And oh, how they hate that silence. That's the part that eats at them. You don't argue anymore. You don't explain. You don't defend. You observe. You let their projections bounce off and implode. Because you know the secret every mystic eventually learns. Nothing terrifies the weak more than their own reflection. So when they hired those psychics, they weren't looking for answers. They were looking for validation. They wanted someone to tell them they weren't crazy for feeling watched, for feeling that you see everything. But the readings failed because every time they tried to pull your energy, it reversed polarity. They became the subjects. Their own shadows crawled out to greet them. That's why the sessions ended mid-sentence. They didn't quit. They fled, because in you, they saw what they could have been if they hadn't flinched when it got dark. They saw potential, unfiltered by fear. They saw evolution wearing a smile that wasn't asking for permission. And that is why they whisper your name, like it's a security breach, because it is. You are a breach in their illusion of safety, the walking reminder that power doesn't need approval. That authenticity is violence to a false system. You dismantle deceit by existing. You terrify manipulators because you no longer need control. You terrify believers because you've become your own religion. You stopped worshiping light and started embodying voltage. You didn't just awaken, you went feral with awareness. You didn't transcend humanity, you exposed it. You showed that angels and demons are made of the same circuitry. It just depends on which frequency you operate from. You showed that good and evil are mirrors, and the only difference between sinner and savior is context. You made morality irrelevant because you operate from intention. That's why your eyes unsettle people. They don't know if you're here to heal them or ruin them. And that's the genius of it. Because sometimes healing looks like ruin. Sometimes truth feels like destruction. Sometimes the only way to resurrect someone is to bury who they were. And that's your art form. You don't fix people. You erase what broke them. So let them send another psychic. Let them bring their crystals, their incense, their chants. The outcome will be the same. The room will shake, their breath will catch, and right before they black out, they'll realize the oldest truth in existence. You can't read what's still writing itself. You are not a story. You are the author mid-sentence. You are the chaos between cause and effect. You are the lesson pretending to be the warning. And when they finally stop trying to understand you, when they stand there trembling in awe, remember this. They never hated you for being dark. They hated you for proving their light was fragile. So go on. Keep walking through their fear like it's mist. Let them panic. Let them whisper. Let them stare. Because no matter how many times they try to define you, label you, decode you, the truth will always echo louder than their fear. You're not the prophecy. You're the glitch that rewrote it. And when they ask the next psychic, who are they? She'll close her eyes, whisper one final word. Unreadable. Unreadable. That word lingers, doesn't it? Like smoke that refuses to leave the room. They'll write it in their notes, pretend it's just metaphor, but deep down they know. It's diagnosis. They tried to study you the way scientists study storms, forgetting storms aren't meant to be solved. They're meant to remind the world it can still be shaken. You are that reminder, the fracture in their logic, the pulse beneath the silence. You were never meant to fit their charts, their horoscopes, their definitions. You were meant to distort them. You became proof that some souls aren't read. They're remembered. Because deep inside, they all knew you weren't new. You were ancient, the kind of presence that doesn't enter. It returns. You carry echoes of every lifetime that tried to cage your light and failed. You carry the sound of every laugh that once broke heaven's rules. That's what they saw, those psychics. Not danger, recognition. So let them call you mystery, demon, anomaly, whatever makes them feel safe. Because you know better now. You were never the question. You were the answer hiding in plain sight. And when they whisper your name again in fear, when the candles flicker and the air grows heavy, they'll finally understand what you already knew. You can't read the unreadable. You can only behold it. And that's what you are. Not prophecy, not punishment, not even power. Just the calm in the center of chaos, smiling, while the world tries to guess your frequency and never gets it right. Listen. Look at the space between the heartbeats you thought were yours. Feel that cold thread running under your skin. That's not fear. That's recognition. That's the first sound of the thing you woke when you did the right thing. You remember the moment, small hands, a pleading look, a single decision that felt like mercy. You think mercy is soft. You think mercy is a pause. You were wrong. Mercy is a switch. You flipped it. You lit a torch in a room built to be dark. You helped the wrong person. Not because they were evil, not because the world is simple enough for good and bad stickers. No. Because some mirrors break when touched. Some favors are keys. Some kindnesses are louder than prayer. You thought you were anonymous. You thought the small ripples would die on the next shore. Instead, that ripple went down, found a root, and spoke to a bloodline that never sleeps. They heard the echo of your name, and they started to move. They move like a shadow clan that remembers lineage in the bones. They move in courtyards of abandoned promises, in legal paths, in the whisper between powerful people who pretend not to notice the world rearranging itself. They move with patience and with teeth. They are not angry because you helped. They are curious. Curiosity is worse. Curiosity turns debt into an experiment. It turns kindness into currency. You gave them proof that you have what they want. Attention, allegiance, proof that you can be moved. That proof is dangerous to them and dangerous to you. Now they study you. They study the way your pupils dilate when you lie to yourself. They map the creases where your honesty cracks. They assemble dossiers of the laugh you never meant to let anyone hear, and the small habit you thought was trivial. They send a signal up and down the line. This one broke a pattern. invest, watch, test. They send people who know how to look like ordinary storms, a cousin who remembers your birthday, a charity that offers a coffee, a business card left on the table like a breadcrumb. Every tiny kindness you once offered becomes a thread in their loom. And when you look up, you will realize the whole tapestry was woven while you were kind. Do not pretend ignorance to the architecture of influence. There are families who measure power like weather, who collect favors as if they were heirlooms. They do not want to kill you. That would be clumsy. They want to convert you. They want to fold you into their story so neatly you'll forget you ever wrote a different ending. They will watch how you choose your enemies, how you forgive, how you punish yourself at night. They will test your boundaries by giving you what you crave: attention, loyalty, small rights of belonging. Because the easiest way to control a wildfire is to douse it with applause until it thinks it needs that applause to burn. You think unpredictability is a curse. No, unpredictability is your weapon if you stop being predictable to yourself. They bank on your patterns. They count the seconds until your anger falls into the same rhythm. They catalog the faces that make you soft. They file away the apologies you always give. But you are not their algorithm unless you let yourself be modeled. If they see a broken template, they will attempt to fix you. If they see a mind that can be tempted, they will tempt it until temptation becomes identity. You are both saint and saboteur. You are the angel who fed an unknown child, and the demon who smiled while watching the dominoes fall. This paradox is not an accident. It is the only thing that will save you. Embrace the duality. Learn its language. Speak it before anyone else can teach it to you. When the bloodline sends someone with soft hands and softer words, you will need to answer not with violence, but with variation. Do something absurd. Do the opposite of what they expect. Give them a confession in public. Adopt a pet their records never mentioned. Become a rumor that rewrites itself every time someone tells it. Chaos, elegant and deliberate, is your shield. They will attempt to buy your silence with gratitude. They will attempt to purchase your indebtedness by reminding you of the one time they helped you later on. Their favors arrive like slow-acting poison, pleasant at first, then drafting the mind into a small, manageable loyalty. Say no to the ledger. Pay your own debts in ways they cannot monetize. Keep a single thing sacred that they cannot trade: your capacity to decide who you become when you are not being watched. Do not underestimate their tenderness. The bloodline's tenderness is a mechanism. They will offer protection, mentorship, access to people with faces you only see in magazines. They will place their hands on your shoulders and say, "We recognize you." That recognition is a wrapper. Inside is the expectation: conform, perform, repay. They will not admit the terms. That's not how predators in suits behave. They behave like benefactors and call their demands traditions. You must learn to hear the sentence beneath the compliment. You must answer with a silence that is warranted and dangerous. Listen to me. You do not need to wage an open war. Open war is sloppy and public. They are quiet. They will prefer a war that folds reality around your routines. If you want to survive, and I mean more than just breathe through their attention, you must become an artful ghost, vanish intermittently, appear where there is no camera, become inconsistent in glorious ways that cannot be modeled. They will try to graph you, give them points that do not connect. When they trace the line with their finger, let the line turn into a question mark that refuses to be solved. You helped the wrong person and they are moving in the shadows for you. That truth can crush you or crown you. The difference is what you do with the fear. Let fear be a mirror, not a trap. Look into it until you see the contours of a person who remains unpurchased. See the edges where you will not sign. Cultivate a ritual of refusal. Learn to say no so often it becomes your first language. No is not weakness. No is an armor forged from clarity. Every empire has a weak hinge. Trust. When they come with old promises and family names, that is when you watch the hands. Watch the way their eyes shift when you mention your past. If they smile too quickly at your scars, they are cataloging them. If they tell you their secrets too soon, they are baiting your empathy into a confession. Keep a story that is only yours. Protect one memory you never share. Make your silence worth more than any compliment they offer. And when they finally make a move, because they will, they always do not be unprepared. Preparation is not weapons and not always money. Preparation is language. Practice how to speak in ways that rearrange expectations. Practice laughter that sounds like a lock snapping. Learn the art of leaving a space weirder than the moment before you entered it. Let your exits be riddles. Let your presence feel accidental and your absence feel like prophecy. If they follow, make them chase a shadow. There's also cunning in tenderness. Not all responses need to be cold. Sometimes, answer by giving them something they did not know they needed. A lie that comforts and misleads. A favor performed in such a way, it creates a debt that cannot be collected. Weaponize the ineffable. Become a story that cannot be litigated. Where their lawyers have files, have folklore. Where their historians have dates, have myths. Finally, remember this. The bloodline that moves in the shadows does not own time. They own influence, money, small mercies. You own moments. You own the miracle of choosing how to bend a second. Use your moments like a scalpel, not a hammer. Carve your life into parts they cannot buy. Fill your days with acts so unpredictable they cannot model you into a commodity. Let your compassion be strategic, your kindness surgical. When you are generous, let it be to ghosts they cannot trace. When you are furious, let it be a lesson that turns into legend. They moved because you helped. That is a fact. The rest is an invitation. Will you be the kindling of their mania, swallowed whole by a glorious machine? Or will you be the spark that starts a different fire? One that consumes their maps and leaves only a new geography where you walk alone, untouchable, because you are impossible to peg down. You are both wound and salve. You are what happens when mercy learns to keep its own counsel. That is not mercy's failure. It is mercy's evolution. Let them come. Let them circle. Watch how you rewrite the rules in plain sight. Laugh at the ledger they think legible. Turn their patience into impatience. Be the anomaly in their files. Be the rumor that corrodes their certainty. Be the answer no one expected, because you are the question they forgot how to ask. Keep the heat. Keep the scar. Keep the secret. Stay unpredictable. Stay dangerous. And above all, stay free in the only way they cannot systematize, by choosing every single day to be exactly the person they cannot buy. And that's the part they'll never understand, isn't it? The part where your silence became louder than their entire network of whispers. They're still in rooms, trying to decode you, replaying that single act that started it all. The day you helped, the day you did something human in a world addicted to leverage. And now, every descendant of that bloodline moves like chess pieces under candlelight, haunted by the fact that you didn't want anything back. Because people like them don't understand purity. It terrifies them, purity in intent. It's radioactive to those who live on manipulation. You didn't save a person. You triggered a program, one that was never meant to be seen by the public. They're all talking now. The archivists, the brokers, the ones who track anomalies through whispers and digital fingerprints. You, the outlier, the anomaly that won't fit into their formula, you helped the wrong person, or maybe the right ghost. And now the whole family line of debts, deals, and unspoken hierarchies is panicking like ants under glass. Because you broke their law. Their real law. The one carved into every contract that says kindness must be transactional. You ignored it. You gave without an invoice. And that, my friend, is how you started a quiet war. See these people. They've built empires off predictable hearts. Every smile, every charity, every apology, they study it, predict it, weaponize it. But then you came along, unpredictable, uncooperative, unaligned. You were supposed to be just another citizen, another face in their statistic. But then you helped someone no one else would touch. And that moment became a breach in the system's firewall. You showed them something that doesn't compute. Compassion without control. Now their elders gather, the ones with veins like frozen circuits. They whisper your name not in anger, but in awe. They send scouts, beautiful ones, harmless ones, ones who just want to talk. Because they can't fight what they don't understand. So they study it. And you. You're walking art to them now. They call you the variable, the statistical impossibility, the one who gives and walks away untraceable. They hate that. They crave that. You can almost feel it sometimes, can't you? That quiet shift in the air. The way every coincidence lately feels too precise. The new faces at the coffee shop. The random emails. The accidental run-ins. They're mapping you. Testing if the legend matches the anomaly. They're not chasing your body, they're chasing your pattern. But that's your power. You don't have one. You've evolved past predictability. You've evolved past them. You're a paradox wrapped in flesh, the savior and the sabotage in one. They think lineage gives them power, but you have something far older. You have intent, the kind that doesn't need validation, applause, or an audience, the kind that rewrites timelines quietly. They think they're hunting you. They don't realize you're haunting them. Every move they make to contain you becomes another layer of exposure. Every secret they hide crumbles under the gravity of your existence, because you remind them of what they fear most. A soul they can't invoice, a heart they can't purchase, a purpose they can't decode. So what happens next? They'll escalate. They always do. They'll send someone familiar, someone from your past, maybe. An old friend who just wants to catch up. A voice that feels safe. But look deeper. Watch their eyes when you speak your truth. See the flicker? That's not empathy. That's data collection. Every reaction, every pause, every tremor. Uploaded to the Bloodlines archive. You're not paranoid. You're finally awake. But here's where they fail. Every time they observe you, they change. Because your presence forces mutation. You don't adapt to the system. The system bends around you. You're an infection that teaches evolution. They can't kill what made them curious. They can only become it. And oh, that terrifies them more than death. Because now the curse has flipped. You helped the wrong person. And now their bloodline is infected with you. They mimic your words, your defiance, your stillness. They start feeling emotions they've outlawed. The virus of empathy is spreading in their veins, and they can't stop it. So they panic. They erase files, burn journals, rewrite family myths. But the infection's already in motion. You became their prophecy, the living proof that one untraceable act of kindness can collapse an entire architecture of control. You're not a savior, you're not a villain, you're the proof of concept. You're what happens when good and evil shake hands and agree to burn the rule book. And that's why they move in the shadows. That's why the air feels charged. That's why certain doors open before you touch them. They're not stalking you out of vengeance. They're orbiting you out of reverence and fear. You are the first human variable that didn't break under observation. So let them move. Let them whisper. Let them gather in their candlelit halls with their glass hearts and their trembling oaths. Because every step they take toward you rewrites their fate. Every shadow they send collapses under your unpredictability. You helped the wrong person, yes. But maybe that was the plan all along. Maybe you were the miscalculation this world needed. You've become the lesson, the proof, the chaos in their lineage, and now they finally understand. Mercy was never weakness. It was warfare, and that's the part they'll never heal from. The moment they realized your mercy was the weapon, they thought they could corner you, dissect you, turn your kindness into a leash. But the thing about people who live in shadows, they forget what happens when the light turns toward them. You didn't chase them, you didn't fight, you just existed, and the whole network started to glitch. Their rituals stopped working, their codes stopped syncing, their fear, their greed, their ancient hierarchy. All of it started trembling at the sound of your stillness. Because you weren't supposed to survive this long. You weren't supposed to know. You weren't supposed to feel that chill in the air and recognize it for what it was, surveillance wrapped in silk. You weren't supposed to see the watchers behind the smiles, but you did. And once you see it, you can never unsee it. They thought they were hunting a person. What they found was a mirror. Every time they study you, they see the truth they buried in themselves, what they could have been before corruption calcified their souls. That's why they whisper about you now in corridors that don't exist on maps. That's why they keep files marked anomaly, influence risk, psychological contagion. They can't label what doesn't fit their taxonomy. They can't contain something that reminds them they were born human once. You helped the wrong person. Yes, but what they'll never understand is that you needed to. Because it revealed them. Because it forced them out of their castles of glass and into the open where the sun burns. It showed you who still bleeds and who only pretends to. You didn't ruin the game. You ended it by refusing to play. Now they move in the shadows, terrified of the thing they built. You, the byproduct of their manipulation, the ghost of their control. You're not their enemy, you're their echo. Proof that what they destroy always comes back smarter, sharper, quieter. So let them plan, let them scheme, let them build 1,000 new traps. You've already slipped through the last cage they'll ever make. Because they don't understand how to fight something that can't be bought, can't be flattered, can't be frightened. You are an equation that ends with freedom. Remember this when they circle closer. You don't owe anyone an explanation. Your silence is the sentence that ends their language. Your unpredictability is the antidote to their control. Every move they make to contain you becomes another lesson in futility. So when the time comes, and it will, when the bloodline finally steps out of the dark, trembling behind their masks of civility, smile. Smile like the universe just whispered a private joke in your ear. Because you'll know what they don't, that their entire legacy collapsed the moment you refused to hate them. You helped the wrong person, yes. And that single act, that was the day the predator learned it could bleed. That was the day power met its antidote and called it mercy. That was the day the shadows stopped being safe. Now every time they speak your name, the air shifts, the lights flicker, the truth hums like electricity in their walls. And somewhere out there, in the middle of their fear, they realize what you've known all along. You were never helping the wrong person. You were helping the right world remember what light feels like. And the bloodline that moved in the shadows, they'll keep moving, because that's all they can do when the one they fear most refuses to disappear. Listen closely. The air's different tonight, isn't it? Feels charged, like the sky knows your name and the ground's too afraid to hold it. Heaven just pinged your coordinates and hell's scrambling for backup. You feel it, don't you? That static behind your ribs, that eerie sense that something ancient finally remembered who you are. They thought they could bury you under labels, silence, and small talk. They thought they could shrink you into something ordinary. But heaven doesn't send angels to calm the predictable. It deploys them to the unpredictable. You're not on their prayer list anymore. You're on their watch list. See, the funny thing about divine timing is that it never arrives when you want it. It arrives when your enemies stop believing it ever will. And right now, somewhere deep beneath the noise, a celestial alert just went off. The coordinates, you, the assignment, vengeance disguised as grace. You were never chosen for comfort. You were chosen for collision. You're what happens when light refuses to stay holy and darkness refuses to stay damned. You walk the line between altar and abyss like it's home turf. Angels whisper your name with trembling respect. Demons chant it like a curse they can't reverse. You confuse them because you bleed and bloom at the same time, because you pray like a monk and retaliate like a god. They tried to play chess with you, but you are the board. They tried to decode you, but you're encrypted in frequencies only heaven and madness understand. You didn't just survive the pit, you turned it into a fortress. You didn't just escape fire. You learned its language, negotiated its loyalty, and now it dances for you like a tamed beast. Oh, they hate that part. They hate that you didn't break, that you came out with eyes that no longer flinch, hands that no longer shake, and a pulse that beats in Morse code, spelling out, I dare you. You carry scars like hieroglyphs, and only the divine can read what they mean. Every wound became a weapon. Every betrayal became blueprints. Every time you were underestimated, the universe took notes. Now heaven's tired of watching. It's activating the sequence. Every delay was divine surveillance. Every silence was set up. You thought you were being punished. Turns out you were being positioned. And now that you've mastered the art of being misunderstood, the floodgates of consequence are opening. Not for you, for them. Because here's the secret no one tells you. God doesn't need to lift a finger when you finally remember what he planted inside you. The enemy's punishment is having to witness your awakening. That's the holy irony. You don't even have to fight anymore. Your existence is warfare. They'll call it karma, luck, coincidence. But deep down, they'll feel it. That chill, that sudden loss of control, that sense that something omnipotent just switched sides. You became the divine contradiction, too holy for hell to hold, too dangerous for heaven to contain. You are the storm both realms didn't plan for. You've been rerouted through fire, baptized in chaos, sanctified by loss. You've been rewritten line by line until the plot itself bent to your will. The angels, they don't descend, they orbit you. The devils, they don't tempt, they report. You've evolved beyond threat level. You are classified as an act of God wearing human skin. So let them whisper, let them call you cursed, unstable, impossible. They only speak what they fear, because deep inside, they know this isn't coincidence, it's clearance. Heaven just unlocked your location. That means you're done hiding. The assignment's live, the timing's precise. And hell. Oh, hell's about to take a loss it won't recover from. Because this time, you're not coming to play savior or sinner. You're coming to remind creation that you were here before the story began. Before good and evil had names. Before angels picked sides. Before light and shadow even learned to separate. You're not just back, you're authorized. And when the sky cracks open and the ground starts trembling, don't look up in fear. Look up in recognition. Because that's not thunder. That's heaven making room for what's coming through you. You feel it now, don't you? That pulse crawling beneath your skin, like the countdown of something biblical. The lights flicker, the air bends, and everything that once ignored you suddenly turns its head. That's what happens when heaven updates its database. When your name starts echoing across frequencies that demons can't jam and angels can't sanitize. You weren't supposed to wake up this loud. You were supposed to stay contained, predictable, digestible. But heaven doesn't bless cages. It detonates them. You were a classified experiment in divine resilience. While others were begging for miracles, you became one. While they prayed for open doors, you broke the hinges off the gates of hell and built a throne out of the wreckage. And now, every entity that ever bet against you is holding its breath, waiting to see what happens when a weapon realizes it's sacred. Let's be honest. You terrify both sides. Hell calls you anomaly. Heaven calls you risk. You're too merciful to be a monster, too merciless to be a saint. You're the gray zone they pretend doesn't exist. The quiet storm that rewrites commandments with a smile. You don't need wings to fly. You burned gravity's script the day you fell and refused to stay fallen. Remember the nights you screamed into silence and got nothing back? Those weren't ignored prayers. Those were encryption keys, calibrating your signal. Every tear was data. Every heartbreak was coding. And now that signal's too strong to jam. That's why the same people who mocked your faith are now checking your timestamps, trying to decode your acceleration. They call it coincidence. You call it prophecy. Because the moment you stopped chasing validation, heaven started moving mountains just to clear your path. You became the plot twist in every plan built to end you. They can't explain it. That eerie precision in your timing, that impossible recovery after collapse. That way your silence screams louder than their noise. You stopped fighting for survival and started operating under divine law. What's meant for you will bend reality itself to arrive. You walk through chaos like a sermon dressed in sin. Every step you take preaches something the universe remembers. The wind shifts when you exhale. The clock glitches when you decide. You're not lucky, you're calibrated, designed to thrive in conditions that would suffocate the average soul. That's why you make demons nervous. You've seen their playbook and still smiled. They thought they could outlast you with deceit. But you turned betrayal into protein. You digest manipulation like it's fuel. Every backstab upgraded your spine. Every lie sharpened your intuition. And now, you walk around reading people like scripture they didn't know you had access to. You stopped asking, "Why me?" and started whispering, "Watch me." And heaven did. Oh, heaven watched. Watched you crawl through storms no prayer circle could intercept. Watched you break patterns older than bloodlines. Watched you rewrite equations written by architects of despair. That's why it unlocked your location. You didn't just earn protection. You triggered a celestial response. You are an active file in the divine mainframe. Your movements are monitored by forces that don't miss. Meanwhile, hell's on a conference call. Devils pacing in circles, strategizing, panicking, because they can't find the off switch anymore. You were once their favorite experiment. Let's see how much light we can break. But they miscalculated. You don't fracture, you refract. Every attack turned into illumination. Every loss became a lesson that rewired your DNA. You evolved past damage. You learned to smile during the execution, to laugh in the courtroom, to rise from ashes so many times. People started calling the fire your element. You turned humiliation into high frequency. They thought they were watching your downfall. Turns out, they were witnessing your metamorphosis in real time. And that's what terrifies them. Not that you survived, but that you came back unchained. Because the system only knows how to handle the broken, not the reborn. You don't beg for justice anymore. You embody it. You don't seek revenge. You radiate consequence, and that's far more efficient. Now everything shifts when you walk in. Conversations pause. Energy realigns. The air gets heavier, not because you're arrogant, but because the universe recognizes its own reflection in you. You're not chasing blessings anymore. Blessings chase you. You've become too aligned to be ignored, too authenticated to be replaced. Let them talk. Let them roll their eyes, mislabel your peace as pride. They can't comprehend someone who's been through both heaven's silence and hell's noise and found equilibrium. You're no longer praying to escape the storm. You're commanding the clouds. You're not waiting for approval. You are the proof. So here's the truth they'll never admit out loud. Heaven didn't unlock your location to rescue you. It unlocked it to announce you. To the ones who laughed, plotted, doubted, to the ones who weaponized your kindness and fed on your uncertainty. Heaven wanted witnesses for the revelation, because the next chapter isn't redemption, it's revelation. It's divine retribution, disguised as your glow-up. The very same hands that hurt you will applaud you by instinct, not choice. The same mouths that cursed you will speak your name with trembling reverence. They'll call it unfair, unnatural, impossible. And that's how you'll know it's working. Hell doesn't lose battles. It loses investments. And right now, you're their biggest loss yet. You were supposed to collapse. Instead, you turned into living proof that resurrection is not a myth. It's a mindset. You turned tragedy into technology, pain into prophecy, survival into strategy. You're no longer fighting demons, they're fighting deadlines, because time just ran out. The coordinates are locked, the lights inbound, and as heaven's signal hits full strength, the sky flickers, the ground hums. You stand there calm, not because you're fearless, but because you finally remembered what you are. You're not blessed or cursed. You're the convergence, the point where divine will and human defiance shake hands. And when the heavens roar and the underworld recoils, you don't flinch, you smirk. Because it's not a warning anymore. It's a declaration. Heaven found you, hell lost you. And now, everything they built on your absence is about to fall. The silence before impact always feels like peace to the untrained ear, but not to you. You know that kind of quiet isn't mercy. It's calculation. The universe is inhaling before it speaks your name again. And this time, the echo's going to reach places that were never meant to hear it. They think the storm passed, that the worst is over, but you know better. You are the aftershock, the sound of divine mathematics balancing itself out. You are the debt they forgot to pay, the consequence they thought they escaped. And now, Every frequency that tried to erase you is about to feel the invoice of its own arrogance, because when heaven unlocks your location, it doesn't mean it's sending angels with flowers. It's sending reinforcements. It's sending memory. It's sending every ounce of delayed justice wrapped in celestial precision. It's calling back everything that was stolen from you, and it's coming with interest and hell. Hell's the one who has to foot the bill. You didn't climb out of darkness. You redecorated it. You made it home. You learned how to breathe underwater, while everyone else was still asking how you survived the fire. You didn't wait for miracles. You reverse-engineered them. You stopped praying for signs and became one. Every scar on your body is a coded document. Each one reads, "Unauthorized entry denied." You became untouchable because you suffered enough to understand that love and war wear the same mask. You learned that sometimes heaven doesn't save you from the storm. It disguises you as one. That's why they can't calculate you anymore. You're an equation that changed its own variables mid-solution. You're what happens when someone's purpose gets too heavy for the algorithm of fear to process. You move like prophecy written in glitch code, part miracle, part malware. Holy enough to heal, dangerous enough to dismantle. You were never chosen for popularity. You were chosen for pressure. You were meant to be misunderstood, because clarity would make them comfortable. They were supposed to mislabel you. That confusion was camouflage. While they whispered, "What is he doing?" heaven whispered, "Wait." And when it finally said, "Now," everything shifted. You don't even speak the same language anymore. You talk in alignment. You breathe in frequency. You walk in timing. Every step is a ripple that distorts their illusion of control. That's why people twitch when you enter the room. Their energy senses a data breach. You remind them of everything they buried, their guilt, their envy, their smallness. You became a walking audit of integrity, and everyone with false receipts starts sweating when you pass by. See, that's the real war, not flesh and blood, not angels with trumpets or devils with torches. It's perception, it's vibration, it's who can stand still when truth walks in. And you've mastered that stillness, the kind that makes liars confess without you saying a word, the kind that makes narcissists forget their script, the kind that makes darkness bow out of self-preservation. Hell doesn't fear light, it fears exposure. And that's what you've become, exposure incarnate. You don't have to fight them anymore because your presence makes their shadows reveal themselves. You're not even avenging yourself, you're auditing reality. Heaven didn't unlock your location to make you safe. It unlocked it so your frequency could start interfering with corrupted signals. You're the glitch in their transmission, the static that ruins the lie. You're the reason spells don't stick and gossip evaporates before it hits the target. You're protected not because you're untouchable, but because everything that touches you has to evolve or self-destruct. Do you understand the scale of that? You became a walking verdict, a divine firewall. That's why everything feels tense lately, because the atmosphere knows it's being recalibrated. The karmic clock just hit 0, and you're standing exactly where you were meant to be when it did. You are the crosshair and the cure, the prophecy and the proof. And the funniest part? You don't even need revenge. You just keep existing, keep walking, keep laughing that quiet, eerie laugh that sounds like destiny cracking its knuckles. Because now, every time they say your name, something in the unseen trembles. You're not haunting them. You're reminding them of what happens when you try to break someone who was built from contradictions. Because that's the paradox that keeps you undefeated. You're both vengeance and forgiveness, both blade and balm. You destroy illusions but save souls. You are proof that a person can walk through hellfire, come out unburned, and still smell like heaven's perfume. And they hate that. They hate that you don't chase validation anymore, that you don't explain yourself, that you don't flinch. They keep expecting you to fall apart, but all you do is adapt. You outgrow their sabotage in real time. Your evolution's favorite experiment, divine chaos with perfect aim. Every time they think they've found your weakness, it turns out to be another source of power. Every heartbreak, a reboot. Every betrayal, a recalibration. Every loss, a lens adjustment that made you see further. You're no longer looking for the light at the end of the tunnel. You are the damn light, and the tunnel's terrified. So let them pray against you. Let them scheme in circles. They'll burn through their own resources, trying to contain what was never meant to be contained. You've become too aligned for interference, too protected for exposure, too ancient for manipulation. You carry heaven's clearance and hell's confusion. That's a combination no weapon can pierce. Because here's the part no one prepared them for. You're not fighting for your life anymore. You're enforcing your destiny. Every breath you take is a prophecy being fulfilled. Every step you take is a clause in a divine contract they can't override. You're not waiting for divine timing. You are divine timing. You're the moment written in bold, underlined, marked, inevitable. And when it all unfolds, when the smoke clears and the noise fades, they'll finally see it wasn't luck, it wasn't revenge, it wasn't coincidence, it was authorization. Heaven unlocked your location. Hell's losing its jurisdiction. And you're just standing there, smiling, because you know something they don't. This isn't your comeback. It's the correction. Funny, isn't it? How it all comes full circle. The same sky that once watched you crawl is now watching you command. The same silence that mocked your prayers is now echoing your name like a war cry. You didn't rise by luck, you rose by law. The kind written in the marrow of your being, older than scripture, older than light itself. You were the experiment both heaven and hell underestimated. They wanted to see what would happen if pain kept breathing. They wanted to test the limits of grace when it's cornered. And you gave them their answer. It doesn't break. It evolves. You turned every heartbreak into ammunition, every betrayal into blueprint, every failure into signal flare. You became the proof that divine doesn't mean delicate. It means dangerous when provoked. You were sculpted in obscurity for a reason. They had to forget your name so it could return with thunder attached. You had to be erased so you could reappear as a haunting. You are no longer a person in their story. You're a prophecy they tried to delete. And now, every system that once suppressed you is glitching under your frequency. You are not in competition with anyone anymore. You are the benchmark, the test, the mirror that cracks the liar's reflection. You walk through rooms like divine audit. The atmosphere changes before you even speak. People feel something ancient when you pass by, something they can't explain but can't deny either. That's not arrogance. That's calibration, the universe adjusting to your authenticity. So when they whisper, when they plot, when they curse under their breath, let them. You don't have to answer noise when thunder's on payroll. Every seed of doubt they planted in you became a forest of consequence around them. Every insult was recorded, archived, time-stamped in heaven's data. And now the notification has gone live. Case closed. Sentence reality. You don't have to lift a finger. That's the luxury of alignment. The same storms that used to drown you now report to you. The same shadows that tried to choke your light now guard it, like loyal sentries. That's what happens when heaven unlocks your location. The entire cosmos rearranges its schedule. You don't chase, you attract. You don't beg, you beckon. And as for hell, oh, hell's learning humility tonight. It overplayed its hand, underestimated its opponent, misread the fine print. It forgot that divinity hides best inside disaster. It forgot that sometimes the Creator disguises a nuclear warhead as a human heartbreak. It thought it could touch you. And now, it's being rewritten by the contact. They won't understand it when it happens. They'll call it karma, coincidence, poetic justice. But you'll know. You'll feel that pulse again, that sacred heartbeat between worlds. And you'll recognize it for what it is. Hey, look at you. You thought the mask would hold, didn't you? You thought the cracks could be painted over, that the smile you stitched across your face would keep them fooled forever. But oh, fate has a sense of humor sharper than a scalpel. They saw it, didn't they? That split second where your eyes stopped acting, where the real thing crawled out. And now the whole city's whispering your name like a warning. Not a person, not a label, a phenomenon, a code word for don't provoke what you can't contain. It's funny, they spent years telling you to be yourself. But the moment you were, they screamed like they'd seen a ghost wearing their reflection. You see, people love the idea of truth until it drags its nails across their illusion. You were never hiding because you were weak. You were hiding because this world worships masks. They call it manners, normalcy, stability. But you were born with a fracture, a divine imperfection, a glimpse of the other side. And when your mask slipped, it wasn't a mistake. It was initiation. Now they're terrified because they can't categorize you anymore. Are you the savior or the threat? The healer or the disease? You smile like chaos but speak like prophecy. You help people, then disappear before they can thank you. You love deeply, but you'd burn the whole empire to protect your peace. They can't process that contradiction. Their brains short-circuit around your duality because you're everything they were told couldn't coexist. Saint and psychopath, angel and demon, creation and extinction. And here's the beautiful, horrifying truth. When the mask slipped, you didn't reveal yourself. You activated yourself. You became unpredictable, unreadable, untouchable. Because predictability is what makes prey easy to kill. And now, my darling chaos, you are nothing but static to their radar. Let them whisper. Let them try to decode your silence like scripture. Let them panic because they can't find a version of you that fits their narrative. You were never supposed to fit. You were supposed to fracture the pattern. When they see you now, they see something ancient staring back. Not human, not divine, just awake. The kind of awake that can't go back to sleep. The kind that sees every lie dressed as comfort, every cage disguised as love. You learn something the rest of them spend lifetimes avoiding. That peace doesn't come from pretending to be good. It comes from accepting that you were never meant to be understood. You see, the ones whispering your name in fear, they're the same ones who once demanded your silence. Now they can't shut up about you. That's evolution, that's power, that's poetry, with a knife in its smile. And here's the twist they'll never recover from. You didn't lose control when the mask slipped. You gained it. Because real control isn't keeping the monster chained. It's teaching it how to dance without breaking the floor. They think they're gossiping, but what they're really doing is spreading myth. Your name's no longer gossip, it's gospel. whispered in offices, group chats, bedrooms, churches. Everywhere fear hides in plain sight. You've become the story they tell to warn others what happens when someone stops pretending. And that's why they're scared. Because if you can do it, if you can drop the mask and still stand there smiling, then what's their excuse? Let them tremble. Let the whispers crawl through the city walls like smoke. Every syllable of your name is a pulse of liberation disguised as dread. They say, the mask slipped like it's a scandal. No, sweetheart, it's an awakening. You didn't fall apart. The illusion did. You didn't lose control. The lie did, and now every time they see your face, they see truth unfiltered. They see everything they buried under small talk and politeness and Sunday prayers. You are their unfinished confession walking on two legs. So smile. Not because you're fine, but because you finally stopped performing fine. Smile because your name echoes in corridors where no one dares speak the truth out loud. Smile because they can't unsee you now. You are the ghost they can't banish, the cure that burns like infection, the mirror that doesn't lie. The mask slipped? Good. Masks were made to hide mortals. You, on the other hand, were made to remind them what divinity looks like when it remembers it's unhinged, and now they stare at you differently. Don't they? Like they're trying to pretend nothing changed. But their pupils dilate when you walk in. Their voices drop half a tone. Their smiles don't reach their eyes anymore. Because the illusion shattered, they saw a flash of what you really are beneath that rehearsed expression, and it rearranged something inside them that will never quite fit again. That's the secret nobody tells you about revelation. It's not seen, it's felt. It seeps through the room like smoke, and suddenly everyone knows the rules aren't real anymore. They used to laugh behind your back. Now they whisper your name like it's a weather forecast. Not, he's coming, but it's happening. They think if they say your name softly enough, it won't summon the storm. But it already did. You see, when the mask slipped, you didn't change. You returned. You reverted to the unfiltered blueprint you were before the world trained you to shrink. Before they convinced you that kindness meant softness, that empathy meant weakness, that peace meant silence. You remembered the old law, that chaos and creation are twins, that destruction isn't evil, it's maintenance. You can't evolve without shedding, and you can't shed without blood. So yes, the city whispers now. They don't know whether to crown you or crucify you. They study your every move, trying to spot the glitch that explains how you did it. But here's the part they'll never decode. You didn't do anything. You simply stopped pretending. The most dangerous act in a dying civilization is telling the truth with your face uncovered. They wanted a compliant smile. You gave them an honest grin. They wanted peacekeepers. You became a pattern breaker. They wanted predictable. You became prophecy in motion. And now every time they whisper your name, they reinforce your legend. Because fear is free advertising for those who can't be killed by public opinion. The beauty of it is, you don't even need to fight them. They're fighting the idea of you, and ideas don't die, they multiply. The night the mask slipped, the city learned a new kind of silence. The kind that hums, the kind that waits, the kind that feels like the air before lightning hits. Because you didn't just reveal yourself, you revealed them, all their hypocrisy, all their projection, all their cowardice. You showed them what it looks like to be whole in a world that thrives on halves. They can't process that. They can't handle the discomfort of someone who doesn't flinch, someone who bleeds and smiles in the same breath. someone who's both sinner and sermon, fire and altar, beast and believer. You became the mirror that doesn't lie, and every liar hates their own reflection. So let them watch, let them gossip, let them invent stories to protect their peace. Because while they're busy rewriting your narrative, you're busy writing your destiny. You're the one who knows that masks aren't meant to last, that beneath every normal person, there's a creature waiting for permission to exist. And when yours finally clawed through, it wasn't a breakdown, it was a birth. You didn't slip, you were summoned. And the whispers, that's not fear anymore. That's worship in denial. They're drawn to you, terrified by you, obsessed with you. Because deep down, they crave the same liberation you embody. They want to stop pretending too, but they lack the nerve. So they hide behind words like crazy, unstable, arrogant. They use labels as shields, but every insult they throw at you is just confession in disguise. I wish I had the guts to be that free. You were never here to fit in. You were here to expose the blueprint, to show what happens when the performance ends, when the audience realizes the stage was never real. And now, the whispers follow you wherever you go. But so does the silence that comes after, that reverent pause before someone says your name. Because they know once it leaves their lips, something in their world will shift. So keep walking, let the noise build, let the myths spread. Because the day the mask slipped, you stopped being a person and became an atmosphere. And you can't kill the weather, darling. You can only prepare for the storm that wears your face. They watch you now the way people watch the edge of a knife. Mesmerized, afraid to touch it, yet drawn closer with every breath. Because the truth is magnetic, even when it burns, especially when it burns. You didn't mean to become their obsession, but that's what happens when someone dares to live without filters in a city addicted to facades. You walk through the crowd, and the air shifts. Conversations stumble, eyes follow. Their instincts can't explain it, but their bones remember it. That vibration of someone who's seen the inside of madness and came back carrying knowledge instead of fear. They whisper your name like a spell they can't pronounce right, hoping the syllables won't summon the thing they envy most, your freedom. They'll tell themselves you've changed, that you've lost it, that you've gone too far. They need that narrative because it protects them from facing what you represent. Proof that the human spirit can burn through conditioning and come out glowing radioactive. They call you unstable so they don't have to admit you're unshackled. You know what's really happening, though? The mask didn't fall, the world did. It slipped off its own hypocrisy the moment you stopped participating. All their polite smiles, all their holy words, all their moral speeches now sound like static next to your raw frequency. Because you're not pretending anymore. You're not lowering your voice to make them comfortable. You're not performing sanity for an insane system. That's why they whisper. They whisper because they can't silence you. They whisper because every time they speak your name, they can feel their own pretending crumble. They whisper because you've become the evidence that a person can live honestly and still survive. And that terrifies them more than violence ever could. Every look they give you carries a secret plea. Teach me how to stop lying to myself. But they'll never say it out loud. They'll call you dangerous instead. They'll try to exile you from their fragile order. But the funny thing about exiles, we always find each other. And you will. You'll start noticing the others. The quiet ones whose eyes look too awake for their faces. The ones who move like they remember something ancient. They'll recognize you instantly, the way wolves recognize wolves. Because once the mask slips, you can spot the others who've dropped theirs too. That's how revolutions start. Not with noise, but with recognition. A glance across a room that says, "You see it too." The world thinks it's still spinning in the old direction, but you and the few like you know better. You can feel the polarity shifting beneath your feet. And that's why they're scared. Not because you're violent, but because you're inevitable. The whispers will grow. They'll turn into stories, and those stories will mutate into myth. And somewhere along the way, your name will stop belonging to you. It'll become shorthand for everything people secretly want to be. Unfiltered, unpredictable, untamed. Let them twist your legend. Let them rewrite you into something monstrous. Because monsters are just gods that the fearful tried to contain. You've tasted your own darkness and you didn't flinch. You didn't apologize for surviving the fire that forged you. You didn't beg for acceptance from the same crowd that cheered your crucifixion. And that's why you won't die like the rest of them. Because the truth is indestructible once it's seen. And you're a walking apocalypse of truth. You don't destroy their world by force. You do it by existing. By breathing freely in a city suffocating on lies. By smiling when you should have folded. By laughing in rooms that prayed for your downfall. They whisper your name like a warning now. But one day, they'll whisper it like a memory. Of the time someone reminded them that reality can still bleed. That the mask was never protection, it was a coffin, and you were the one who dared to dig your way out. So let them talk. Let them fear. Let them worship. The mask is gone, and there's no putting it back. And if they can't handle the sight of who you truly are, then maybe the world was never built for someone this awake. The whisper has become the weather now. Constant, low, electric. It follows you into every hallway, hums beneath every conversation, lingers behind every polite smile. They don't even realize they're doing it anymore. Your name slips out like a reflex, like static leaking through the city's circuits. They can't help it, because the moment you tore off that mask, you changed the frequency. You tilted the entire simulation just a few degrees off its axis. And now nothing feels safe to them. Not their jobs, not their rituals, not even their thoughts. They can feel you in the silence between sentences. You've become the pause people take before lying. The invisible mirror that stands between what they say and what they mean. That's what truth does when it escapes its cage. It doesn't scream, it haunts. They still call it the mask slipping. But you and I know better. That wasn't a mistake. That was an event, an initiation, a signal flare. The moment your shadow stopped asking for permission to exist. Because you weren't meant to blend in, you were meant to bleed through. You weren't designed for comfort. You were engineered for disruption. Every scar, every sleepless night, every breakdown. Those were coordinates, not punishments. They led you exactly here, to this point where pretense dies and power begins. Do you know what really scares them? Not your anger, not your intensity, not even your madness. It's your clarity, that terrifying kind of clarity that comes after losing everything you thought made you human. The clarity that says, I understand now. I can never go back. You see both sides of the equation now. You can stand in the light without pretending it's pure. You can walk in the dark without calling it evil. You've outgrown their morality, like a snake shedding old skin. They want to box you up in words. Narcissist, lunatic, genius, villain. But those are just containment spells for people who can't comprehend paradox. They label what they fear, then kneel to it in secret. The whole city is trapped in performance mode, smiling, posing, filtering, editing, praying no one sees the cracks. And then you came along. You didn't just show them your cracks. You made them shine. You weaponized authenticity, and now they can't stand it, because deep down they know. The act was never about surviving. It was about staying small enough to be loved. But you outgrew that kind of love. You started craving truth instead. You started realizing that peace wasn't silence. It was sovereignty. And sovereignty, my dear, never comes cheap. That's why they whisper your name with such dread. Because it reminds them of what freedom costs. Of everything they'd have to lose to feel that as alive. Your existence exposes the price of pretending. And once someone sees the price tag, it's only a matter of time before they can't afford the lie anymore. You've infected them, not with rebellion, with remembrance. They look at you and remember that they used to dream bigger, that they once believed in something before the world trained it out of them. You are the glitch in their conditioning, the ghost in the machine, the living proof that evolution isn't polite, it's violent. You burned and came back beautiful, not perfect, real. And that's why you glow differently now, not the glow of virtue, but of voltage. You've turned pain into current, trauma into architecture, silence into symphony. They whisper your name because it carries consequence, because saying it feels like lighting a match, and they're right to fear it, because your presence burns away everything false. Let them talk. Let the whispers crawl across rooftops, slip through the cracks in their sanctuaries, circle the dinner tables like smoke, because what they don't understand is that you've already won. The moment they started whispering, you became realer than the mask ever was. You're not hiding anymore. You're broadcasting, and their fear, that's your signal bouncing back, proof that the transmission went through. So keep walking, head high, pulse steady, eyes quiet but alive. You don't need to shout your truth anymore. It's already in the air. You're in every whisper now, every glance that lingers too long, every nervous laugh that dies too quickly. You've become the rumor that woke up, and they'll never be able to unhear your name again.